Demonetizing. There's just a bunch of Jew haters out there. Oh, we're live.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we are.
You know what? Guys, we got a loaded show today. I want everybody to know that. Today, we are going to talk about perhaps the most consequential issue happening in the Middle East, and that is the fact that we may very well see the complete destruction of everything that remains in Gaza that stands opposed to the world. Is that too extreme?
Oh, you say the destruction of everything that remains in Gaza.
Well, that's probably not going to...
And we maybe we should go into this. I saw a couple of pictures of what's going on in Rafah. Remember all eyes on Rafah?
Yeah, I know.
Okay. There is nothing to look at in Rafah anymore. It is one big pile of rubble.
Yeah, well, listen, there's a lot to say here. The one thing that everybody needs to understand is that we not only have a lot to talk about, but there is perhaps a very consequential picture that we need to draw concerning the world that cannot be seen.
Oh, here we go.
Spiritual warfare. By the way, this seems to be a topic that's been coming up a lot, especially with people close to me. It's amazing how easy it is to not see what's in front of us yelling at us because it's not in the physical realm.
Remind me to tell you about my little event last week with a group of Jews who are philanthropists.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm gonna have to definitely ask you about that. So guys, let's just line up what we're going to talk about today. Today we are going to talk about the obvious movement happening right now. Israel's security cabinet just basically convened, and they have made the decision that they are going into these areas of Gaza that continue to be problem areas.
Okay, I think we have a map that we can show exactly where we're going, and I'll go into a little bit of a detail about what actually is going to happen.
Yeah, and it's very important. What David says today, guys, I want you to listen to, because there are some military things we want you to be aware of. The other thing that we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about Judea and Samaria. Now, this is an area that a lot of people, for whatever reason, don't seem to want to be visiting, but we're going to need to talk about it because Mahmoud Abbas is doing something right now that gives us every indication that something bigger is going on.
So what I would like to do, maybe explain Judea and Samaria, and that's going to connect to the whole two-state solution.
No. Two-state delusion, bro. Come on, say delusion, not solution.
You hear it as two-state solution, but yes, it is a two-state delusion. And what I would like to do is talk about what they actually mean and what they don't mean. And I mean, do you think Macron and do you think they really know what they're talking about? Or
no, come on. Let me tell you something, man.
The Prime Minister of Australia just
Macron is a fool. By the way, did you see what Marco Rubio said recently?
No.
God bless him. God bless him. Very strong leadership at the State Department. He basically came out and he said, thanks a lot, Macron, because you are the reason why talks with Hamas completely fell apart.
Oh, yeah.
You just told Hamas that they now have a reward for continuing to be who they are.
Bibi just said the same thing, by the way.
I watched the press conference. It was very good.
Very well.
Good job, Bibi.
So he did a good job. By the way, do you know where Gadi Taub is?
Yeah.
Where?
He's on vacation. I'm not so sure I'm at liberty to talk about that.
He is on vacation?
Yeah. I just talked to him yesterday.
Yeah. Well, because I saw his show with, what's his name?
With Mike Duran?
With Mike Duran?
Yeah.
And Mike Duran said undisclosed place.
I know where he is. But obviously, I'm not allowed to.
Well, I was kind of hoping he's like saying in Tehran making final, movement. All right.
No, but you know what? You will hear more from Gadi pretty soon. We got some things that we're going to do with him. As a matter of fact, I actually think I may be able to get Gadi connected. Anyway,
let's go for that.
I can't talk about that.
But since we are talking about that, Mike Duran had a professor on that talked about a very interesting idea, and maybe if we want to go into the whole emirate idea that they're talking about in Gaza.
Oh yeah, that's
okay.
Interesting.
That was
I don't know. When did you get to to hear any of that. Mike Duran just interviewed somebody about that issue.
Mordechai Kedar.
Oh, we know who he is.
Yes,
Yeah.
and Mordechai Kedar is the pusher of the Emirate kind of solution. So maybe we can get into that. That's just kind of touch some of that as we go along.
Yeah. So if the UAE is well, there's a lot to talk about.
Well, we need to
and
explain.
we're going to talk about Saudi Arabia and
Well, I think people need to understand what an emirate is, how that works, and you know, and maybe you and me are a good place to start because it comes out from the Arab tradition of clans and families and that pushes the clanism into a political system, but it'd be an interesting take to kind of put on the table.
It's more the patriarchy, as some people would describe it. more than the tribal nonsense. There's so much to say about that.
It's patriarchy on steroids, just so you understand. I mean, you know.
Oh yeah. But oh my goodness.
Okay,
I want to like end the live show and go watch that interview. That's probably an incredible interview.
If you've been following Moti Kedar, this is something that he's been pushing for a long time. And so let's. How do you want to run this out?
Was Mike? Were they just at it, or were they?
Oh yeah.
Well, they must have been fighting.
No, I don't think they were fighting. Mike is not on this, and I didn't listen to the whole thing, but it was enough to say, listen, we need to explain the Emirate system because that might be one of the solutions that we're talking about in Gaza.
It's very, very likely, or it's going to be something that involves Saudi Arabia.
And there you go. And Saudi Arabia does understand the Emirate system.
Or are you kidding me? Saudi Arabia
is an
kind of
emirate.
Runs it. Yeah.
Is an emirate. Okay. But I think our listeners and watchers would like to understand how that works. So we can tie all of these together.
Okay. We'll talk about that. What do we want to tackle first? Do we want to tackle that first, or do we want to go ahead and tackle what's happening in Gaza first? Maybe we talk about Gaza.
We were at a conference together this weekend. Did you hear my reference to the 10 and the 12?
No, when you were teaching?
Yeah.
I was already on the road.
Okay, so I want to start off maybe if you mind take a minute or two to connect to this. If you go back to Numbers and the whole story about when we come out of Egypt, the people of Israel come out of Egypt, God has promised us a land, and Moses takes one of each of the tribes, one representative from each of the tribes, and says, I need to do an intelligence scan. Please go into this land that we are about to conquer that was promised to us by God. God made it very clear that we're going to be conquering this. Please go in and do a little bit of Mossad work. I mean, this is the first case of the Mossad on the ground. And we get the names, by the way. Very interesting. What I find fascinating is he starts off, the whole chapter starts off with the names, each of the names. This is from the tribe of this, and this is from the, and this is from the tribe. And all of the names, and they go in, and the famous, how do you say, a bunch of grapes that were hanging from their shoulders when they come back and say, this is a land of milk and honey. Look how amazing it is, and look at this. But then the Balagan starts. 10 of these representatives of each of the tribes say, God promised us, but we're not going to be able to do it. We're small. We're not capable. This is not going to work. And only 2 stood up and said, God said this can happen. It will happen. The 2's names were
Yeshua and
Caleb and Yehoshua is the way we say it in Hebrew.
That's right.
You know how
in Arabic, we just said it the way I said it. But
there you go. But in Aramaic, the same.
Yeah.
That's Jesus' name. The original name for Jesus was Yehoshua in Hebrew. In Aramaic, it turns into Yeshua, and that's the name that we use for him today in Hebrew also.
Yeah.
But Yehoshua was one of the ones who said, God promised, and we will fulfill. And what I want to say, maybe as the backdrop for everything that we're talking about here today, the majority is not always right.
Boy, are you...
The majority is not always right. In fact, God cursed the people, and because the majority stood up and screamed, we spent 40 years in the wilderness.
Yep.
Because the majority did not see the proper route that God was leading us along. And I'm going to say, add this on a personal level. I mean, this is just part of my story. I don't know if you know, but I walked away from the faith for 40 years because I thought the majority was right. It took me 40 years. There's something about the 40, by the way.
Yeah,
And a side note,
number.
40 days and 40 nights.
Yeah.
Remember Noah. How long was Jesus tempted in the wilderness?
Oh, I know.
40 days. So there's a lot about how many years did we go around in the wilderness? 40 years. I mean, there's something connected. How long was Moses up on Mount Sinai? It's fascinating.
Yeah,
40 days. I mean, there's something in the 40
Yep.
that it is a period of testing, a period of encapsulating, a period of deciding, and the majority, when it drops the ball, will actually pay in how do you say, years of 40. And I think this is something to remember. Open up your Bible. The majority is not always correct.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that is the theme for everything that we're going to be talking about today because, wow, the majority has gone off the deep end.
Oh, yeah. Like we have not even seen. And there's going to be quite the conversation. By the way, really quick note, as far as the super chats and the super stickers, keep them coming. We're grateful for them. We will acknowledge them and we will read them all at the very end. That's kind of what we've been doing as of late. So thank you, by the way, for those. You guys are awesome. Those of you that have been giving those to us, you're really, really wonderful. Thank you for that. Okay, so how about we do this? How about we, well, you know what? Let's talk about Gaza first. You want to have that conversation? Okay, what map do you want me to put up so that we can have that conversation first? Because I think this is all going to be very consequential here.
So let's start off with the beginning. The situation until now, 7th of October, the attack. Israel's been going in, going out, going in, going out. There are still 20 live hostages and 30 non-live hostages in Gaza that we are still dealing with. And the Hamas is still there. And Israel has conquered the vast majority of Gaza. And we're going to put up a map here in a minute, and you can see that all of the areas that are colored in red, okay, are the areas that are under Israeli control. So just a quick, this is a Gaza Strip kind of on the side, okay? You can see where the words Gaza Strip are on the top. That's the Mediterranean Sea. You see Egypt on the south, and the other parts is surrounded by Israel. The left side is the Rafah area, just to give you a little bit of a heads up. And the right side is the northern side, and the areas in red are the areas that are under complete Israeli control. Excuse me. And probably very few of the actual inhabitants of Gaza. By the way, there's a whole argument that I've heard this week about how many people are actually, how much of the population. We keep on hearing 2 million, and there are probably not 2 million in Gaza anymore.
Oh, no.
There's probably somewhere between 1 million and 1.5 million.
Yeah, some people say as low as 900,000.
Yeah. So,
but they say that's because of the genocide.
well, no, nobody's.
It's
genocide.
ridiculous.
Again, we can talk about how that works, but basically, what I'm trying to say is that the areas in blue are the areas that Israel has not completely taken control of. On the right side, you can see a blue area that has Gaza City centered in it. And on the left side, you can see a blue area, some of it along the coastal area, okay? That is what we call the Muasi, or the camps in the middle. And here's the thing. Israel could have conquered all of Gaza quite a while ago. The only reason Israel has not turned all of Gaza into that dotted red or slashed red lines is because in the blue areas are where we think the hostages are being held.
Yeah.
And that's the main issue. And until now, there was a let's stay away from those areas until we can reach some kind of an agreement with Hamas. And the idea was that even if we don't get all of the hostages, 20 are alive and some of them are not, even if we don't get all of them, even if we get some of the hostages, we don't want to jeopardize the hostages that are in the blue areas.
Right.
Okay. So we got a picture. This is a situation, and the negotiation has been going on for what, about 5-6 months now?
A long time.
Yeah.
A long time.
But here's, I think, what happened. Bibi and I'm going to say Bibi because it's not only Bibi, it's a lot of us, have come to the conclusion that Hamas doesn't want any kind of arrangement that doesn't leave them in power in Gaza at the end.
Yeah, Bibi's always known that. And he said it from the very beginning. And it was unpopular for saying it.
Well, it was. Come on. Even I was choking on it. I mean, let us have some of the hostages. I mean, at least we're not going to lose all of them.
Yeah.
What happened this week, though, and let me make this very clear, and a lot of people don't really understand what we're talking about. That's why Israel, by the way, is in turmoil, and that's why the world is in turmoil. The decision that was made by the cabinet is saying we're going into the blue areas. We know that the hostages, first and foremost in the area of Gaza City, by the way, in the tunnels underneath Gaza City. And we know that the Hamas has said that if you get close to us, we will take out the hostages. And Bibi is saying we've tried to reach an agreement. We have no choice. And think about I think we mentioned this this weekend. Think about a hostage situation where there's a negotiation going on, but you realize at some point that the takers of the hostages don't want to negotiate anymore. Yeah. You're not going to get anything from any more negotiating. It's a stalling tactic, and the longer you wait, the worse the situation is for the people that are being held hostages. Yeah. Meaning, stalling and time is now jeopardizing the hostages more than the threat of what's going to happen if you try to take them out, which is why Bibi decided to send in the SWAT team. Yep. And said to the SWAT team, go in, find the hostages. And that is the decision that has been made. The Israeli government says, we're going into Gaza City, knowing that the hostages are there, and basically taking in consideration the danger or the jeopardizing of the hostages that are being still held inside. You understand that this is a soul-tearing decision. And you understand that not all of Israel agrees with this decision.
Yeah.
And I'm going to even add...
But a whole lot less of Israel disagrees. I think an overwhelming majority of Israelis are for this right now. Or at least are in complete support of Bibi.
Well, one of the things I need to explain maybe to help... I mean, I've been a warrior and I have been in hostage situations. Okay? So... my main role as a soldier, as a warrior, as a defender was to defend the innocent, to defend my civilians. That is so deeply embedded in my core that I'm willing to die in order for nothing to happen to them. So what I'm trying to say is, and here's the problem with the chief of staff, because he actually said this, in our basic core, we actually try to save life no matter what. We're willing to take chances in order to save the life of our civilian. Now we're being ordered to jeopardize the life of our civilians. And I'm going to tell you, even I, as a warrior, balk at that. Now, Sometimes I will understand there's no choice. Right. Sometimes I will understand this is the lesser of two very evil evils. But that still chokes me up. And if I got the order, okay, break into the blue areas in Gaza, it would still choke me up. And I want people to understand that even though I understand the need, even though I realize, and even though I totally agree with Bibi on the fact that this needs to be done, a lot of us in Israel are choking up on that. And that's something that needs to happen. And we haven't even talked about the world, reaction to this, because the world reaction is it's going crazy.
Well, and this is the issue. You know, the world is losing their mind. They're raging over this, and the problem is, and I think this is like critically important for people to understand, and that's the fact that if this was any other country in any other situation, we wouldn't even be here 6 months, 10 months, 2 years later. If imagine if 300 hostages were taken after 1,200 lives were taken by Mexico. In the United States. Mexico right now, even under Biden's baloney, would be completely flattened.
Oh yeah.
There'd be nobody.
The only reason that this hasn't happened is because we're Jews. On both sides, meaning the world holds us to a different kind of standard than anybody else in the world.
Oh, it's obscene.
But I'm sorry to say, or not sorry, I don't know. I'm actually happy to say that we hold ourselves to a different standard too.
Oh, sure.
It's not only the world.
To your detriment, by the way.
Yeah. and it's costing us lives. But we are holding ourselves to a different standard, which means I will not open fire on a group of Palestinian civilians, not because I'm afraid of what the world will do, not because I'm afraid of what CNN will say, but because morally we don't do that. And it's something. I mean, everybody's turning it into a how do you say, a political issue? It's not a political issue. Israel does not fire on people standing in line to get food. We do not do that,
bro. It's a spiritual issue, bro. It's really what it comes down to. You know, they're hiding behind the auspice of politics, but this is a completely spiritual issue, and this is absolutely war. And this is warfare.
It is.
This is spiritual warfare, and it's like we've been talking about, and we've been saying it a lot, and we're trying to get it embedded within the minds and the hearts of these people that refuse to listen to this. Right? Every single time they go against Israel, every single time they speak against God's ancestrally chosen people, the Jews, all they're doing is destroying themselves. That's all they're doing. Because what you're doing is you're flipping off God. You're waving your fist at God. You're not waving your fist at Israel. You're waving your fist at God. And I'm just fed up with people telling me, well, we're talking about the modern state of Israel, which is different than the Jews. No, you fool. Sorry, it doesn't work that way. Okay?
And here's something else I've been hearing, by the way, from different directions lately. Even people in the church are saying, well, Israel, it's a political issue, and we don't deal with politics in the church.
Oh, my goodness.
No, it's there, James. It's there.
I know the cowards. I know the cowards that believe that. I know lots of cowards that believe that. There's a lot of cowards that don't belong in the ministry. They need to quit the ministry. If you're a pastor and you say that we as pastors have no business engaging in politics, quit the ministry. The judgment you're going to face for you cowering and refusing to walk in obedience to God to speak about these things, just quit and admit to the whole world, you don't give a dang about your flock. You do not care about the body. Why? Because good pastors, solid ministers of the gospel, you know what they do? They tell the truth.
They go into politics.
And they actually tell the truth. Politics is the ultimate expression of the heart maneuverings of mankind. And if pastors can't speak about that, that means they can't speak about anything that relates to morality.
So where does the separation between politics and religion come in? I mean, somebody's going to say, okay, separation of church and state.
And how many times do I have to talk about the separation of church and state issue? Look, the separation of church and state is not something that's in the Constitution. It wasn't in the Declaration of Independence. It was never in any of the founding documents. Where you will hear the term separation of church and state is in a letter that was written to the Danbury Baptist Association by one of our former presidents with respect to something that is completely unrelated to what they make it to be today. That's just the reality. And by the way, I want to say this. To the person that tells me that God doesn't care about politics, he only cares about people in the church. Oh, you're being funny. Thank God you're being funny. God bless you. Gosh, you got me off guard. You got me. That's hilarious. Man, oh my goodness. The Reldon report. You got me. See, this is why I shouldn't be reading things out of context. That's funny, by the way. That's really, really funny. Let me read his comment. Oh, come on, James. God doesn't care about politics. He only cares about people in the church building singing well. I started reading it. I'm like, oh, I'm going to respond to this clown. And then I realized, oh, it's Dean. Oh, that makes sense. It's my boy, Dean. Go figure.
So if I understand
I love
correctly,
you, Dean. You're
James,
amazing.
The letter was written not in order to save the state from the church, but to save the church from the state.
Yes. He was telling the Danbury Baptist Association that in essence, he was assuring them, right, that the government would not infringe upon their ability to be able to do what they normally do. That's in essence what it comes down to. Separation of church and state is not a constitutional discussion.
So let me take this a little bit further, because I think we're touching something that is becoming more and more of an issue, and I'm even going to say, coming up, and I'll repeat this again and again, coming up to our next election cycle, Israel is going to be the political issue that divides the chaff from the wheat. And this is going to be the issue that we're going to be talking about. So let's make this clear. The Bible never separated itself from politics. Look at all the prophets. Each and every one, Jeremiah, Daniel, Isaiah, were all deeply mixed into politics.
It's a political document in many ways.
You cannot separate church and state. You cannot separate the politics. And I'm hearing more and more from, I'm going to say, how do I say this, with people who find it more comfortable not to deal with the complex issues of what we are,
100%.
saying, wait a minute, we want this to be nice. We want this to be, and making abortion a political issue. Come on, you guys, abortion's a political issue. Making gender a political issue. Oh, let's not talk about politics. I mean, let's make it a politics.
It's an excuse for cowardice by people who call themselves pastors, who continue to abuse their position for self-gain. That's really what it becomes to. Like, as pastors, we're supposed to get into the difficult issues. As pastors, we're supposed to speak up about the hardships, about the things that are wild. Like, we're supposed to get into those things. And I just think it's hilarious that they won't do it. Like, I laugh at this, like you talk about those, some of the nonsense that we've been hearing out of Costa Mesa for the last several years. Calvary Chapel, Costa Mesa. Oh, we don't get into that stuff. That's, political stuff. Yet you're the most political people alive. You'll march for George Floyd, right?
Oh,
You'll
yeah.
stand up for
Gay
defeating
rights.
white privilege. Yeah, that's right. You'll push all the gay agenda stuff. But yet you're going to somehow say, we don't talk about any of this stuff? You cowards. Not only are you actually cowards, you're kind of liars. I mean, that's what a lot of these people do. But, so, don't even get me started. I'm just going to, I just refuse to let any of these lying leftists take over.
But it's seeping into different places because, yes, it is controversial. And yes, everybody's saying there's starving people in Gaza. And yes, Israel's to blame. And yes, okay, so I don't want to deal with it. It's controversial. Let's call it politics and let's stay out of it.
Yep.
Okay, I saw a show about living inside a nuclear submarine. Now think about you having to live inside a closed-off space with 300 people, and there's no fresh air, there's no sunlight. Okay, and one of the things that they mentioned in the podcast was that there's a taboo about talking politics in the submarine. Nobody talks politics because you're so bunched in that if this becomes an issue, then it's all inside the submarine. So they don't talk about politics under the water.
So what, are they not allowed to talk about God under the water
well,
either?
that's the thing. I'm trying to figure out how basically that works. But the idea is that politics are such a controversial issue that it can shatter the fragile. I mean, think about getting along with 300 people that you can't
but
get
if
away
a
from.
bunch of shipmen can't talk underwater about politics, then what can they do? You know who would know the story on this is Michael Digman. Mike, is that the case, bro? You're a lieutenant commander. You retired out of the Navy. I think you were actually in a submarine.
Well,
I'm almost certain. He said that's true. Wait. Let me see. We talked a lot of politics on my boats, but that was in the 19th. Oh, that's interesting.
So here's the thing. I want to tell you very truthfully that
Mike said they talked politics. He said they did all the time.
In the Israeli army, we're all about politics.
Yeah.
I've had some late night arguments. I mean, I still remember a couple of arguments that were screaming at each other in the desert around the bonfire after finishing a live ammo maneuver and before we start early the next morning. I mean, yes, we are very political.
Dean says the only thing they're allowed to talk about in submarines.
Oh, we're getting in trouble.
Underwater is whale farts. It's a sonar thing. Oh, Dean. You know, I should insult Dean and call him a sailor.
Mm.
Or maybe that would compliment him. Maybe
I
that
don't
would
know.
be,
I don't-
I don't know, Dean, would that be a compliment to you?
So what I'm trying to say is this: the church is going to have to step into the controversial political issue on a couple of main issues. I mean, I don't know if you're going to agree with me. I'm going to say gender and abortion issues have more or less simmered down as the definer or the lightning rod. And I think Israel's going to be the lightning rod right now.
No, Israel has been the lightning rod for a long time. It's been the lightning rod for a long time.
Yeah, but it's going to get worse because it's going to go like this, and I'm going to say this: the population or the mindset in the United States in the West is going to be divided between how can you support this genocide, baby killing, whatever entity called Israel, and if you support Israel, I cannot support you.
Yep.
Or if you don't support Israel, I cannot support you.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the divide. And I'm saying this because I know most of the people I'm talking to, but most of the people I'm talking to have to understand that the rest of the people are going to have to make this decision. Do you go against Israel because what you think is happening, or do you stand with Israel because what is actually happening? And that is a decision that we're all going to have to make.
Yeah.
You're going to have to come out. You're going to have to get the
It's
picture.
a defining issue.
Are you one of the 10? Or are you one of the 12? One of the two.
Yeah.
Are you going to be one of the 10? And by the way, God was willing to finish off the people of Israel because of the 10 spies. When God has this conversation with Moses after the whole event and says, I'm done with these people. I'm done with this. I can't do this anymore. And Moses says, no. I mean, we've got. So he says, okay, for those two, I'm willing to make a difference. And again, for the minority that have the right idea. And what I'm trying to say is this: we live in a world where we think that the more likes you have, the more right you are. That's definitely not true.
Yeah.
And that's something to put in everybody's head. Now, as we go forward on the political agenda, now as we go forward into this, the amount of likes or the amount of people who support you, the amount of people who think you're right, by definition, doesn't make you right.
Yeah, 100%. No, it's 100% right. By the way, Dean says he was a sailor on a ship as a sonar tech for his first couple of years in the military. Dean, you get my respect, bro. Well, you've always had my respect.
They're
can I
weird
respond to
people.
something you
By the
said?
way, do you know how much you know about sonar techs? They're weird people.
Not Dean. Dean's not weird.
Well, and just think about sitting with these.
I mean, he's a little crazy, but he's
you
not
think
weird.
about sitting with these this and hearing
bro,
and
let me tell you
that's your
something.
world.
You know, if you know anything about sonar or radar for that matter, but especially sonar, you know, because how things work in the water and all that, that's not a job for an idiot.
Oh no, it's just
Like
okay.
there's a lot of brain involved in that.
Okay, I'll give you my experience with sonar or with radar. Okay, for many years we were using in Israel a radar system that would track motion on the ground, meaning on the border. Okay, there would be this radar system, and when things move, just like in a sonar, they know by the noise that is made with the movement. It's Doppler or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, they know to see if it's a person or if it's a dog or if it's a rabbit and so forth and so on. So when somebody crosses over the border into Israel, the radar picks them up. So here's the problem. We have to apprehend them. So I spent many nights talking to the lady. Usually by the way, it's girls. In the Israeli military, that kind of work is usually done by women because they tend to be more accurate and more intense in that kind of work. But she was saying, go 10 feet to the left, go up the hill. It's right next to you. Now, she doesn't see the terrain. All she sees is the points. It's like with a sonar.
Right.
All you see is the points. And I still remember nights where, he's running now to your east. So I run to the east. Oh, no, he's turned to the left. One time, I still remember, she goes to me, wait a minute, you're in the same place. I said, and I'm waving my weapon because she can see the movement. And she says, he's right there. I saw him right there. And then I turn over and I see him laying in the ground right next to me like that.
Wow.
It was an old.
That's got to be a spooky feeling.
Yeah, but it was an old guy. I think he was about 80 years old who was trying to cross over to Israel. And he says, "Bring an ambulance. I'm about to have a heart attack." I still remember. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is they are special people in my mind. That how do you say, zoned in attention that you have to have into the most minute details is amazing.
Yeah, if you owned a sonar station or a radar station, that was your job. In that was no joke, especially in a sub or on a ship.
Yep.
It's crazy. Okay, so let's talk about how this graduates into Judea Samaria. Because this is kind of a big deal.
Can I stop a minute before we go into Judea and Samaria? Because there's another issue that came up in Gaza that we have to deal with, and that is the reporters that went to meet Allah. Do you want to go into the details of that?
Did you see that? They're all terrorists.
Oh, yeah.
Just because they put on a reporter badge doesn't mean that they're... let's talk about it for a second.
Okay, so explain what happened.
Yeah, they meant to go... They went to go meet the devil in hell is what happened. How many now has how many reporters now? 3?
Well, no, in this attack they were talking about 3, but I think somebody threw out a number that 100 and something reporters were killed, and it's being used against Israel.
Yeah, but
that
we
kill journalists.
They're all Hamas.
So one of the things I want to stress. Okay, so the details are this: Israel bombed a tent next to one of the hospitals, and a couple of Al Jazeera journalists met their maker and kind of left us at this time. And everybody's all upset that Israel is actually targeting journalists. So there's 2 things I want to stress to make very clear about the situation. One, these are journalists that live in Gaza, meaning they're not CNN reporters that came from outside to do what's going on. These are people who live in Gaza, who grew up in Gaza, that have family in Gaza, that are part of the population in Gaza. I mean, they are part of this. It's not somebody that came from outside. So what happens is that terrorists have day jobs. Is that a way to say it? And his day job could be a cook. His day job could be the driver of a truck. And his day job could, and in many cases is, a reporter for Al Jazeera.
Yeah, that's all the UNRWA people, same thing. They're terrorists. Anyway, go ahead.
And yes, some of them, their day job is Al Jazeera. Some of them, their day job is a teacher. And we've seen some of these reporters literally taking part in the 7th of October attacks. I mean, we've seen this. So if his day job is a reporter for Al Jazeera, but his night job, actually we have him on the list of the Hamas people on the payroll. I mean, the list of the people who are being paid by Hamas. Yeah. So if his night job is a Hamas operative, but his day job is a Al Jazeera reporter, is he a legitimate target?
100%.
There you go.
And we all know that.
But here's the thing, okay? There are those who are going to zoom on his night job and will say 100% he deserved to die. And there are those who are going to zoom in on his day job. And again, the separation between if somebody zooms in on the night job or someone zooms in on the day job is the spiritual war that we're talking about. The fact that somebody decides to take issue with his night job as a terrorist or take issue with his day job as a reporter, that difference is put in his heart.
Yeah, but I'm going to kind of push. I'm going to push back a little bit, and this is going to sound a lot less forgiving than you, because you're being very forgiving here, because you're calling it night job and day job. I'm going to just simply say their 24/7 job is terrorism. Mm-hmm. Okay, because let me give you an example. They talked about this teacher recently that was killed, while, by the way, trying to kill Israelis. Okay, this is the same teacher that sits down with elementary school kids, teaching them how to sing songs that speak of the joy that comes in their heart when they take the lives of Jews. This is the same teacher that hands fully automatic weapons like SKSs to these kids and teaches them to shoot at targets that they cover with pictures of Jews. This is the same type of teacher that opens up the Arabic version of Mein Kampf and reads it to these kids with the same veracity that he reads the Quran. So a teacher was killed in Gaza. Death is bad. But better him than any kids. Better him than any Jewish kids. Better him than any Palestinian kids. He's a devil.
And he's kind of, yes, he's signed up with the devil.
You mess around and you find out.
But what I'm trying to say is, not that I'm saying that he is a day job or a 9 to 5. I'm not trying to give him any way off. I'm trying to say the fact that people zoom in on that, okay, says something about the people who are trying to, the fact that they're willing to stress the fact that he was a journalist more than he was a terrorist.
Yeah.
That is a premeditated mindset
100%.
that I believe is the core of the spiritual war.
Yeah.
By the way, somebody just now mentioned, why aren't we taking or mentioning the Christians in Bethlehem? And I have no idea what, I mean, the actual kind of thing.
What about Bethlehem?
I think many of us love Jesus don't understand how American Christians are quick to say they stand for Israel, but don't say we stand with our Christian brothers and sisters in Bethlehem.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Okay, explain that.
Where do you want me to start with that? Do you know who the greatest persecutors of Christians in Bethlehem is?
Well, yeah, we know.
It's not Israel.
Israel's
It's
not
the
in
Catholics.
Israelis
aren't even in Israelis aren't even in Bethlehem.
So I don't know.
You want to talk about the persecution of Christians in Bethlehem? It starts with the Catholics and the Orthodox, and then it goes on to the Muslims, and then after that, it's anything else that might be related to the Palestinian Authority.
One of the things people really don't understand is the dynamics of Israel and what's happening. And maybe that's where we need to step into our next kind of segment is Judea and Samaria, what's going on there and how that ties into Gaza.
Yep. And look, I'm going to say this because I think this is like really important, right? The moment we stop speaking about the things that are true is the very moment we allow ourselves to join that which is not. You are on the side of evil. You are on the side of evil if you do not speak against it. If you do not, I mean, what are you going to do? You're going to sit there and watch these people suffer?
So maybe just a couple of minutes, because a lot of people don't really understand, and I'm hearing the Christian right, Tucker, Kaddis, and people kind of going down this route. So let me put a little bit of the background of Israel onto this. Israel, by definition, is the homeland of the Jewish people. The political system is Jewish, but 20% of the population in Israel is Arab Muslim. And I think something like 2% of the population is Arab Christian. Okay, meaning the Arab Christians are a minority of a minority, if I say that correct.
Yep.
And there is a difference. There is a political difference between Jericho, Bethlehem, Ramallah, and Israel, because Jericho, Bethlehem, and Ramallah have been handed over to the Palestinian Authority. And maybe this is a good place to pull up the next map that we were talking about
Yeah.
A, B, and C areas, and see if we can connect to that.
Yeah, that'll take a second, but I'll bring
Which
it up right
means that in these areas, and this is really critical. For instance, Bethlehem, the government is the Palestinians. It's not Israel. And any persecution against Christians in that area is done by the Palestinian Authority and not by Israel. Now, in order to make it very, very clear, not all Jews in Israel like Christians. And the more militant and crazy of our Jews, some of them the more orthodox militant elements of the Jews, okay, actually are opposed to Christianity. And I could probably go into YouTube and find some videos of Orthodox Jews in the old city saying bad things about Christians and even spitting on Christians in a couple of cases. Now, but let's put it this way. I've lived in Israel for 50, 60 years. I've never seen it happen, but I've seen it on TV. I've walked the streets of the old city as a tour guide for many, many years. I've never actually seen it happen, but I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I am saying that it is very, very rare, and they are definitely not the majority. But somebody like Candace Owen is going to take that event and turn it into the main event, the main show.
Yep.
And this is something. So the government of Israel and the people...
Can I just say this about... I'm sorry. Can I say this about Candace Owens? Can somebody please give her a free ticket to Gaza City? Please, Candace Owens.
She can afford it.
Please, no, I'll pay for it. Take a trip to Gaza City and sit with these poor, exploited Palestinian children you're talking about. You know those children will kill you because you're black. And American.
Okay, which brings us to the map that we see right now. And if you look at this closely, this is Israel. And again, I'm all crazy about maps all the time, so let's see if I can explain what you're looking at. You can see Israel. If you look closely on the map, and if you're on the screen, you can see the Dead Sea on the right, and you can see the Mediterranean on the left. The reason I'm stressing the Dead Sea is the Dead Sea is fed by a river called the Jordan River, meaning the line that goes up from the Dead Sea, okay, and goes up to the north is the Jordan River, which means when somebody talks about anything that happens between the river and the sea, this is what you're talking about, the river and the sea. That's just a little bit to give you the geography. Second, you can see that the areas that are Israel, but you can see this kind of circular area with all the little spreads of color inside. That is Judea and Samaria. The northern part of all those red dots is Samaria. The southern part of all the red dots is Judea. And the little gap in the middle with the yellow around it is Jerusalem. And then you can see very clearly that the Gaza Strip is completely separated from all of this. So that's just to give you a little bit about Israel. Let's go into Judea and Samaria and kind of explain. Okay. Let's say take the area of the northern part of Samaria. You can see that there are areas that are dark red, and there are areas that are pink, and there's areas that are light pink, if I want to put it this way. Okay. In 1967, until 1967, all of the Gaza Strip and all of Judea and Samaria were under Jordanian and Egyptian control. Gaza Strip was Egyptian. The Judea and Samaria were Jordanian, which is where the term West Bank came from, because Jordan is on the eastern side of the Jordan River. Okay, it is on the west bank of the Jordan River. That's why it's definitely. I mean, the fact that it's called West Bank means that it was in Jordanian hands. I hope that is clear. After the Oslo Accords, Israel decided to give back areas in Samaria and Judea for Palestinian control. So all of the Area A, the dark red areas, are totally under Palestinian control. And if you look closely next to Jerusalem, there's the area of Bethlehem. Up into the north, there's Jenin, there's Ramallah. Those are Palestinian government. Palestinian taxes, Palestinian police, Palestinian government. Bethlehem is part of this Palestinian entity in Area A. Okay, that's very clear. So that's the situation in the Gaza Strip. Why am I stressing this, and why we brought this map up here today? I want people to understand that when we talk about a two-state Balagan, okay, can I use the word Balagan in this case?
Yeah,
a two-state Balagan.
It's I call it the two-state delusion.
Where are you going to put this Palestinian state that all of the European are going to actually recognize? If you want a Palestinian state in the dark red areas, okay, it'll be something very similar to what Liechtenstein, Monaco, or the Vatican is. which might work. I mean, again, give them some kind of an autonomy. And here's the thing. They do have autonomy in those areas. The dark red areas, it is a Palestinian government. And let me remind everybody that until the 6th of October, the Gaza Strip was ruled by the Palestinians. It is a self-governed, self-ruling autonomy. They collect the taxes. They decide what to do with the money. They decide what to do with everything. That is the situation. Same thing in what we call the West Bank, I would call Judea and Samaria. The dark red areas are under Palestinian control. But here's where it gets complicated, okay? Because after the Oslo Accords and the State of Israel decided, okay, we're pulling out of Gaza and we're pulling out of areas in Judea and Samaria, the Palestinians, as an entity, as an independent entity, decided to have elections. And in their elections, they elected the Hamas.
Yeah.
A jihadi, kill all Israelis and cut off the hands of infidels kind of mentality were elected democratically to be the government of all the areas that you see in the dark red on the map right now. That was what happened. Now, the people in the West Bank, the people in Judea and Samaria, the Palestinians in Judea and Samaria freaked out because the Hamas is like ISIS, and nobody, even Arabs, don't want to live under ISIS. So they overthrew the Hamas government in the red areas in Judea and Samaria, but the Hamas government stayed in power in the Gaza Strip, which means the red areas on the right side of the map are ruled by the Palestinian Authority. The red areas on the left side of the map are ruled by Hamas. Was that clear?
Yeah, very clear. And I want everybody to see this because this is really important, okay? When we look at Area A, Area B, Area C, okay? Just take a moment to consider. Forget, you know what? Forget Area C. Let's just look at Area A and Area B. No, you know what? Include C in this, just for the heck of it, okay?
Look at the map.
Every single one of the people who live in Area A, B, and C are incentivized and pay money. They actually pay money to kill Jews.
Oh, yeah. It's a pay for slay, I think somebody called it.
That's what it's called.
I mean, if you kill a Jew and you are a Palestinian, you've hit the jackpot. I mean, you and your family, you might go to jail or die, but you and your family will be supported. And that's something that people need to understand when they kind of deal with this. So what I need those of you who are listening and watching us to do is look at this and say, wait a minute, where's the Palestinian state going to be? We gave them a Palestinian state in Gaza. They could have turned that into a jewel in the Middle East. Look what they turned it into. And what Israel is saying, if we create that same dynamic in all of the Judea and Samaria areas, then we're going to have another Gaza in that place. And Israel doesn't want that. And in any case, where? Look at that map and tell me where physically will that Palestinian state exist. Some people think that there's a separation of Jews and Arabs where you can say, over everybody on this side of the line is this and everybody on that side of the line is that. But the situation on the ground does not allow that. And the reason okay, and why does the situation on Israel? Because you don't see different areas in Israel. Because the areas in Israel, there are Jews that live there, but there's also Arabs that live in the areas that are defined Israel. Again, quick reminder, 20% of the population of the state of Israel is Arab Muslim. They live among us. But as opposed to a Israeli state where Arab Muslims can live in peace and prosperity, and they're the most free Muslims living anywhere in the Muslim world, the Palestinians are saying there's no such thing as a Jew living inside a Palestinian Authority. And this, I think you need to understand, is the core of the problem. There's no place for a Palestinian state physically on the ground and security-wise or mentally-wise in the hearts and the minds of the Israeli, the Jewish people, and to a certain extent the Palestinian people. You ask Palestinians living there, would they rather live in Israel or in a Palestinian state? What would they say?
Oh, come on. They're all talking about Israel. As a matter of fact, I told you this story, and I think I've even shared this with you guys. I had a conversation with some Palestinian pastors years ago, one in Bethlehem, the other one in Ramlah, not to be conflated with Ramallah. They're both different areas. And both of those pastors said that their greatest frustration in their growing churches or pastoring their churches centers around this idea that that what people would come to their churches and get saved. They'd come to know the Lord. They start walking with the Lord. And then in doing so, their very first or the very next thing they would do is they would move out. And I'd ask them, I go, where are they moving out? Like, what are they doing? And then the answer to that was, well, they want to go live in Israeli areas.
Yep.
Well, why does that frustrate you? Well, we would do it too, but the problem is we need people here helping us with the work of the ministry. David, that's the mindset.
If you are in any way, shape, or form able to move to Israel, most of the Palestinians would do that tomorrow. That's the whole.
100%.
But Gaza's an issue because in Gaza, the Hamas mentality. Do you remember seeing some of the things that ISIS did when they conquered an area in Iraq or some of the areas in Syria? How they would actually torture or what they did. And remember what they did to the Jordanian pilot and what they did? Okay.
It's that old school Babylonian tradition.
Yeah, but that is the Hamas. That is what the Hamas is. So when Benjamin Netanyahu says we cannot allow the Hamas to keep on in this area, Gaza, and I'm going to even say more. If you look at Judea and Samaria, we cannot allow Hamas to be in control of those dark red areas in Judea and Samaria. That is critical. I need people to see this on the ground. And when Macron says Palestinian state, when anybody else says Palestinian state, where? How? You're throwing something in the air, okay? It's like a fairy tale. Okay, you've got a child. He doesn't want to behave. So you say to him, okay, if you do what we want you to do, then we will give you a trip to Disneyland every weekend.
Right.
And you know you can't do that, but you think that it'll make the kid behave the way you want. Or if you don't do what we want you to do, we're not going to Disneyland next week. But we were not planning on going to Disneyland. I mean, what they're promising the Palestinians is something that is a fairy tale.
Yep.
They know it, and now you know it. Then why are they doing it? And here's the core of the question. Why are they giving? It's only being used to put pressure on Israel and to raise the public support around the world.
Yeah, it's propaganda. I mean, that's really what the true answer is. I mean, it's propaganda. So,
oof. We're not over with this yet. And here's the thing. The world is turning on Israel right now. And Israel is going to go into Gaza. And again, I feel sorry for the soldiers that are going to have to go into those blue areas that we said. And Gaza is heavily populated and densely populated in all urban areas. Israel is saying, by the way, to the people in Gaza City, leave. Leave.
Oh, yeah. They're warning them because something bad is about to happen and they need to leave. Are you kidding me? They need to leave. There's what are you gonna what recourse is left for them? They're all dead.
So when Israel completely takes Gaza and everything is under Israeli control, and here's the thing, President Trump yesterday said, okay, we'll incentivize them to leave Gaza, the population, and we will make Gaza into a jewel of the Middle East.
Speaking of which, now that we've had this conversation, do you want to bring up the Emirate issue?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, let's talk about that.
Okay. So do you want to explain the tribal dynamics that happen in Arab society?
Yeah. Boy, we could spend a long time talking about that.
Basic dynamic.
Okay, so everybody needs to understand that when we start talking about the Arab culture, the Arab world, Arab societies, just go back and think Abraham.
Mhm.
That's probably the best way of putting this, right? You have to think about patriarchal culture. You have to think about families. You have to think about symbols of strength and power. In the Arab world, especially when you start talking about people like the Emirates, like, and when I say Arabs, I mean true Arabs. I'm not talking about like, some of these bottom scrapers, because there's some real differences, right? You are talking about a culture very rich of developing family enterprise, futures, relationships. It's a very different world.
Family loyalties are critical.
Oh, big time.
I mean, everything kind of is based on the family dynamic. So, if you're born in, I'm going to say, Hebron, for instance, okay? You have a father and a mother that is your immediate family, okay? But they have cousins, uncles, and this is your extended family.
Right.
But they are part of a clan, which is part of a couple of families that have a common ancestor. And clans are part of a tribe that goes back even into, and tribes can number in the hundreds of thousands in some cases.
Yes, that's right.
Okay? And only now, after you have a loyalty to your family, to your clan, and to your tribe, will we talk about a loyalty to a nation or a government. Am I saying that correct?
Yeah, that's completely correct.
And here's the thing. That family dynamic is so deeply ingrained, which is why Islam was so strong, because what Islam did is turned all of these tribes into one, or managed to direct them in one direction.
Yeah.
That's what not Muhammad, but the whole political Islam is there's something that is more important to you than your affiliation to your tribe, your clan, your family, and whatever.
It's the subject of the collective.
Exactly. So that is the basic dynamic. So nations, I mean, you're an American, and that has nothing to do with who your father was, who your uncle is, and who your great-grandfather is. You are American. Your national affiliation is to the United States of America. Okay? I'm Israeli, and that has nothing to do to who were my great-grandfather. I'm part of a group of people called the Jews. Okay? But my reaction or my loyalty is to the state of Israel, is not to my great-grandfather.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going that. Arabs are not like that. So their affiliate and their loyalty is, first of all, to the families, which is why, okay, how did we get all to this? If you understand, by the way, another thing to understand about that is the power dynamic inside Muslim and Arab society.
Yep.
It's all about power. Okay, and I think we've mentioned this. I don't know how to say this in Arabic, but there's a saying that they say is, okay, me against my brother, me and my brother against my cousins, me, my brother, and my cousins against the tribe, me, my brother, and my cousins and the tribe against the other tribe,
that's right.
and so forth. So Muslims live in a pecking order, is what I call. You're always in this pecking order. Where are you in this pecking order? And that's how Muslim society works, which is why nation states were weird for Muslims, and none of the dynamics of democracy ever worked in any Muslim state.
Yeah.
Because in a democracy, the rule of law, okay, everybody is the same before the law, does not line up with Islam. It doesn't line up with Islam and doesn't line up with the clan.
That's right.
Meaning, in the Muslim society, if your brother murders somebody is not the same as if somebody else murders somebody, because he's your brother, you need to take care of him.
This is perhaps one of the more consequential reasons why the Emirates, as well as Saudi Arabia, has rejected some of the core tenets that have been communicated in Islam, specifically the ones that match up with Marxism. They reject the cultural Marxist aspects that are being really heavily pushed by Islam.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something that deals more with the Gulf Coast region, right? So all of the Gulf Coast Council states, maybe not so much Kuwait, but most of the Gulf Council states are beginning to reject these tenets within Islam that relate to the functional collectivism aspect, they are going back to a very Jewish type root, believe it or not. They're going back to the mindset given to them by Abraham, which is very interesting if you think about it.
Which is weird. By the way, just to tie it all together, look at what happened at the end of World War I. The British gave the area called Jordan to a family.
Yeah.
The British gave the area of Saudi Arabia to a family.
That's right.
The British gave Iraq to a family because it was understood back then that the way to politically control a territory is through this family power dynamics.
Yep, that's right.
Saudi Arabia, is a monarchy, but it's not only the king. There's a whole family dynamic.
Yeah, look at the Saud family. It's
the
a big
Saud family runs the political system.
Yep.
Okay. Again, all of these nations, it's run by the family. Why is that important? Because one of the options for the day after Israel conquers Gaza is, who do you turn Gaza over to?
Right.
Do you turn Gaza over to the Palestinian Authority that have failed completely with running the Palestinians?
Yeah. No,
do you turn the Gaza over to the Egyptians? Do you turn Gaza over to different...
the Egyptians don't want it.
Don't want it. Nobody wants it. And one of the options that is raised up is using this family, clan, tribe system in order to rule Gaza the day after. Okay? So a legal system that is based on the interaction between the families like this is called an emirate. And that's how we got to all of this. The United Arab Emirates are clans and families that have agreed together to give one of the families control over the whole dealings of the country. And they're thinking about, there's basically 5 main tribes in Gaza, and using the tribal system, using the tribal authority, using the tribal leadership system, supporting everything. So the Israelis are saying, okay, we'll make 5 emirates, like semi-autonomous areas in Gaza. Okay, what the government provides will go through them.
Yeah.
We will bring the food to the head of the family. He will distribute that in his family according to his needs. He has the authority. He has the power. He has the legal ability to tell them yes or no.
Yep.
And using the tribal system and creating an emirate in Gaza, just like the United Emirates are in a different place. And that is one of the ideas that Moti Kedah was talking about with instead of Gadi Taub the other day.
Now, let me ask you this, and I think I know your answer. Do you think that works, or do you think there's no way that works? Because it's typically one or the other.
No, I think it might work.
Okay, tell me why.
Because again, there will see that the Hamas. Okay, so why are they supporting the Hamas? I mean, why did anybody support the Hamas? Because they thought that Hamas was more powerful than their families.
Yeah, I mean that's 100% right.
I mean, who's pushing up? Who's pushing up against the Hamas in the southern Gaza area? It's another clan.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, and
that's
so
a
what
good,
happens?
Great point.
But this will only work if the Hamas is defeated. Meaning the people have to see, again, who's stronger. And again, in the pecking order, okay, you have to make sure that the top is.
But here, let me ask you this question, and I'm curious, because I haven't really put a lot of deep thought into it. Because you almost have to secularize Gaza in order for this emirate establishment to work. Either that, or you have to export some of the emirates from the area of the Gulf Coast into Gaza to bring the kind of leadership necessary to take it to that level.
Well, I'm going to say it like this. Saudi Arabia hasn't secularized. MBS is trying now to secularize it.
They're more
been.
secular now than they've ever been.
Yes,
they've been secularizing for the last 10 years.
But they still are very religious, meaning there is a religious element to the fact that the Saud family, I mean, it's not by chance that they trace their genealogy back to Muhammad. I don't know if that's true or not, but that gives them, I'm going to say, the respectability that they need in order to be able to rule.
Yeah, fair enough.
Okay,
but
so
they are secularized.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like if you think about it, the way that the royal family in Saudi Arabia works, the same way the royal families in the UAE work, they're very secularized. I mean, they're not. They're more Muslim than 95% of the world is.
Yeah, totally.
Guaranteed. But there is this very subjective mentality that has crept in since MBS has been the prime minister.
Okay,
since he's been the crown prince.
So I'm going to switch it over. Okay, now let's, for instance, just remember, put in the back of your mind that Osama bin Laden is part of the royal family in Saudi Arabia.
Well, we've always known that,
and he rebelled. But let's turn it upside down. Let's go to Gaza and say this. Let's say the head of the clan, the Nukharat clan. I'm just making up a name. Okay, he decides that he is going to side with the government of Israel in order to bring food in, and the power inside the clan is such that if one of the young warriors decides to fight against Israel, and he has decided that we're not doing that, he will actually have him killed.
No doubt.
That's the kind of power, meaning it's a political system. I mean, we would have to try somebody to bring him up, bring evidence. In that system, you don't have to do. I mean, again, look at what honor actually is. So if the honor of the family is the glue that is holding together, if a young girl walks out of the family and disgraces the family, that's enough for her to be killed. There's no tradition. There's no trial. No nothing.
How do you do that without secularizing? I guess that's the question.
All you need to do is get the father to agree that this is where we're going, and then he can force the fathers underneath him to agree that that's where this is going. Then he can force somebody else to agree. I mean, that's the way the pecking order goes.
Which means he has to deny a core tenet of Islam, right? Or correct me if I'm wrong. Like, help me understand that part.
No. I mean, there's been Muslims that have lived under different authorities down through the ages. I mean, where do Muslims live in Indonesia? How does that work? How does the Emirates work?
No, but the Emirate. Let's talk about the UAE, for example. Okay. The UAE thinks on a completely different level.
All right.
They actually deny what Islamic fundamentalism teaches.
And that is?
For the preservation of their own existence. And that is this idea of we are going to destroy the lives of those who will not submit to Allah.
No, they have to forego.
They have to forego this.
They have to forego the Dar al-Harb.
Yeah, exactly. I'll give you an example of somebody from the Emirates.
Dar al-Harb means the world of war, the world of we need to conquer the world in order for it to be. That's what we mean. So, okay, what I'm trying to say is we're all looking for a way. The whole question that we're talking about is who rules Gaza on the day after. And that's part of what we're talking about.
The Emirate idea is not a bad idea. It's not an idea that I would throw out. I think it makes sense. But the problem is the tribalism that you have to forego has to be that from the outside. It has to be a true Arab emirate.
Yeah.
It cannot be what's being deemed as such right now under the auspice of what's happening with these Palestinians. I mean, look, without sounding so crazy, because some people will call this crazy, Palestinians aren't even real Arabs.
You got to be careful. Did we ever mention why there's no genetic tests in Israel?
I've never heard this. I mean, I know why.
You know it's illegal. You
I didn't know it was illegal. I just didn't know that they were taboo.
MyAncestry.com or
they're
23andMe or what do you call it? It's illegal to do it in Israel. I wanted to do it for my mom. I had to bring a kit from the States, swap my mom in Israel, and send the kit back to the States. And the reason it's illegal because nobody really wants to know the results. So here's the problem. A lot of people think it's because we're afraid to know how many of the Jews are not actually Jews. No, that's not the problem. The problem is how many of the Palestinians are actually Jews. And it turns out that a large percentage of Palestinians that live in the land are actually Jews that have converted to Islam over the generations.
Yeah, I mean, listen, and many of them are not even, I'm telling you, many Palestinians are not even Arabs. I mean, let's be real for just a second. And I can even show you that the common thought in Saudi Arabia, the popular thinking in Saudi Arabia, and this is why I'm looking the other way because I'm looking for some of these videos, is very much against even the idea that Palestinians are Arabs. They don't even consider them to be Arabs for a lot of different reasons. And I'll actually show you. I'll show you a few videos that demonstrate this aptly, that are where you'll have some of these guys very popular in Saudi Arabian culture who will actually tell you this. They'll deny this. They'll basically say, you as Palestinians are not Arabs. But let me show you the emirate mentality, okay? This right here is the Minister of Foreign Affairs of the UAE speaking. And what I should note here, because this is like very important to understand, okay, is that when you start getting into I got to find the right setting here. That would be here. Okay. When you start getting into hearing things like this coming out of the mouth of the foreign minister of the UAE, only then do you really begin to understand how they think. Okay? So let me bring this up. Oh, I got to put it here. So that you can get this. Sorry, that was wrong. I am going to
all the
buttons.
Switch
this. I'm just being funny right now. Hold on. DVE1. Okay, that's what I got to fix. Okay. Here we go. That's going to bring us in. Watch this. Watch and listen to this. It's very telling, okay? This is a he's part of the premier family of the Emirates, obviously.
Well, again, family runs a country.
Yeah, that's right. Listen to what he says.
أنت تتحمل مسؤوليتها. And
by the way, I won't even bother translating it, but just listen. He's basically saying, I'm going to speak in English, and he's going to say something that he wants everybody to hear very clearly, okay? Listen to what he says.
and let me say this in English so you can understand what I'm saying.
I have translation.
No, I know you have translation, but I just want to make sure you get it right. There will come a day that we will see far more radical extremists and terrorists coming out of Europe because of the lack of decision-making, trying to be politically correct, or assuming that they know the Middle East and they know Islam and they know the others far better than we do. And I'm sorry, but that's pure ignorance.
Amen.
Do you understand how prophetic that man was?
Amen.
And he was saying this. This was probably 5 years ago, 7 years ago, when he said that. But this is the emirate mentality.
Oh, by the way, and they're looking at what's going on in Europe, and they're freaked out.
Oh, can you imagine? I mean, the whole world is looking at it, just going, "What in the world is happening?
Yeah.
What are these people even beginning to think?"
So again, the Hamas calls what's going on in Europe and all the people, and by the way, in the universities here, they're calling them useful idiots.
Because they are. Look at this guy. I featured this guy many times, okay? Read the subtitles of what this guy has to say. And by the way, I'm just gonna say this because many of you will understand this. I wish I could more accurately translate for you, but it's hard to come across in English what he's saying in Arabic. Because in Arabic, what he's saying is a lot more harsh than what's being translated here. But listen to what he says about Palestinians and the difference between him as an Arab and Palestinians. You're going to have to read the subtitles. Watch this.
شيء ما أعطتكم إياه حتى دولة أسست لكم دولة الملك فهد يوم ريغان يطلب منه تمويل زوار الكونترا قال له وحدة بوحدة أبي دولة الفلسطين قال له أبشر ووقع الخطاب دولة الفلسطين وعلم الملك فهد عرفات إنه حصلنا دولة فلسطينية هرب عرفات ما شافوه إلا بعد 10 سنين من هالكلام هذا هرب ما يبي دولة فلسطينية كلكم ما تبون دولة فلسطينية لأن أساسا ما لكم قضية ولا لكم دولة ولا لكم أرض هذه أرض إسرائيل بالقرآن وأنتم شتات رومان ملفقين مغول وتركمان وشركس وأرمن وغجر ما لكم حق بفلسطين فلسطين هذه دولة.
You're all Mongols, you're Turks, you're all kinds of people, but you are definitely not Arabs.
So, you know what I find fascinating every time I hear this? We in America, we're a nation of Mongols. I mean, the United States of America is made up of people who come from here, from here, from here, from here. This is very racist.
Well, the world would say that, but he is representing the mainstream
of Islam,
of Saudi Arabian culture, of the Arab world. The Arab world, this is their mainstream thinking. By the way, just so that you know, yes, the pro-Israeli side of him is a little different, but this is the growing sentiment in Saudi Arabia right now. Listen to what he says. You'll hear him say it about Palestine. He says it's literally the state of Israel.
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't even use al-Quds. He doesn't use the derogatory Arab term for Israel or Jerusalem. Listen to him. It's very insightful, by the way. Notice what he said? He didn't say al-Quds. He didn't say anything.
He didn't say the Zionist entity.
Yeah, not the Zionist entity. He says the people of Israel. Very interesting.
بني إسرائيل لمعلوميتكم بني إسرائيل هذولا عيال إسحاق وحنا يا العرب عيال إسماعيل.
دول نسري عيال إسحاق والعرب بين إسماعيل.
Bnei Israel.
Meaning we are the sons of Ishmael and the Jews are the sons of Isaac. We actually are cousins. You're nobody.
That is a Muslim tradition.
That's he's speaking what the thoughts are.
Yep.
Look what he says about them, about their relationship.
وإسحاق وإسماعيل أخوين أبوهم إبراهيم عليه السلام يعني هذول عيال عمنا لكن أنتم منين جيتوا أنتم مش دخلكم بالموضوع أنتم يا الشتات يا الغجر يا المغول يا التركمان يا الشركس يا
If I said what he just said in English, you would not call me a pastor. I mean, I'm just telling you. He's very
derogatory.
Yeah. He's using very derogatory language.
Yep.
And he's saying you're everything but Arabs. You're gypsies and Mongols and Roman, like literally you're Romans.
You're not one of us.
But you're not one of us. Look what he goes on to say.
الرومان يا بقايا الشعوب ايش دخلكم بالموضوع ايش دخلكم بالسالفه ايش دخلكم بيننا
like he's saying that basically you're the bottom of the barrel, like you're our leftovers. Yeah, that's right. It's hilarious. Look what he goes on to say.
هذا بني إسرائيل على أرضهم ما لكم أرض أنتم ولا لكم قضية يا جماعة أنتم أدوختونا واشغلتونا والأقصى لمعلوميتك ما عندكم أقصى ما في شيء اسمه أقصى في شيء اسمه القدس.
This is the thing that's really like really shocking to me, that he would actually say there is no such thing as Al-Aqsa.
Okay, explain Al-Aqsa. Explain what Al-Aqsa actually means.
So let's talk about the location for just a second and why this is such an important issue. Okay, because their claim to the Temple Mount is predicated upon this label of Al-Aqsa.
Okay, the word Aqsa in Arabic comes, at least the Hebrew is katzeh, means the edge, the furthest one.
Meaning it's our
It's
the
on
way
the edge.
it's different for us. The way we translate it is this is our boundary, meaning this is
On the
this
boundary.
is like this is our circle.
Okay, so Aqsa, what I understand is the furthest, on the edge.
Yeah, meaning this is our border.
Okay.
Let me better explain it. That's the literal translation, but what he's basically saying is it's our territory. So when you say Al-Aqsa and you refer to it as this area of Jerusalem, but you don't want to call it Jerusalem, you're making the claim that this is the northernmost boundary of the Islamic.
Does it have anything to do with the night journey?
Oh, maybe. Yeah.
Because Surah 17 says that Muhammad went to the mosque, how do you say, Masjid al-Aqsa.
Al-Majid, and he's going to talk about this.
Al-Masjid al-Aqsa means the mosque on the edge.
Yeah, but
the furthest way.
But this is where it gets really tricky because Al-Majid, we say Al-Majud or Al-Masjid al-Aqsa might very well be referring to some area near Damascus.
That's true.
And that's the thing, because you have to consider the fact that Muhammad didn't exist, and even if he did, he certainly wouldn't have existed in Mecca.
So there's a whole, how do you say, false narrative that is being built up here.
It's amazing.
Okay.
It's amazing. It's amazing. That's why he's saying what he's saying. He's saying he's denying this border. And he's saying it doesn't exist. As a matter of fact, I'll rewind it, and this will make more sense to you when you see it, okay? So look what he says. So he's saying you have no land, you have no claim to the land, and he's basically going to school them in what the Saudi Arabian mentality is with respect to Al-Aqsa. Okay? Watch this.
على أرضهم ما لكم أرض أنتم ولا لكم قضية يا جماعة أنتم أدوختونا واشغلتونا والأقصى الأقصى لمعلوميتك ما عندكم أقصى ما في شيء اسمه أقصى في شيء اسمه القدس المسجد الأقصى اللي ورد ذكره هو بالجعرانة 29 كيلو على الطائف وكان المسجدين المسجد الأقصى والمسجد الأدنى.
The further.
The fact that he's even talking about 23 kilometers from Al-Taif is wild. Because you're not going to hear Saudi Arabians say this, at least not 30 years ago, 40 years ago.
So just so you understand the how do you say, the significance of what you're hearing here, that means that Jerusalem is not a holy city for the Muslims according to the Quran.
That's what he's saying.
That's what he's saying.
Yep. That's what he's saying.
So the whole war for the holy city of Jerusalem that the Muslims are fighting is false.
And look at what he says about their Al-Aqsa Mosque. Look.
المسجد الأقصى حقكم بناه الشام عام 72 هجري كيف يسرى محمد له وهو مبني عام 72 للهجرة يعني بعد وفاة محمد ب60 سنة.
So what he's saying is your mosque that we call Al-Aqsa, that you call Al-Aqsa in Jerusalem, was built in 682. How in the world could your mosque be the mosque that Muhammad visited in 682 when he died in practically 620? He actually died in 633 is what they say.
Something like
but
that.
Either way, how can he go visit something after he died?
Which means
he's not even real. But
the whole mechanism that made Jerusalem into a holy city is based on this trip that Muhammad took, where he flew out to the furthest mosque, Al-Aqsa Mosque. That can't have happened because the Al-Aqsa Mosque was only built after he died.
That's right. Yeah. And then they're going to go start talking about an Ottoman Empire built mosque, basically, which is its neighbor in the same compound. It just doesn't make sense.
Again, falsehoods are part of this dynamic.
Oh, 100%. 100%. But he's exposing it. Look what he continues to say.
تضحكون على مين أنتم؟ تضحكون على مين؟ الفلسطيني. أنت ما أنت عربي.
You're not Arabs.
ولا لك أرض ولا لك قضية.
You have no land. And you have no say about the land, is what he's basically saying.
Title, say, cause.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be all of them.
Yeah, meaning the modern, we're using this term a lot lately, you don't have the receipts.
Yeah.
It's basically what he's saying.
Let me stress something out, though. A lot of people, I mean, I know I'm reminding, the Jews have a title to the land.
100%.
That's what we need to understand. So he's saying you, the Muslims, don't have a title. And you know, if you read your Bible, that the Jews do have a title. And that's a dynamic that we're talking about.
You not only have a title, is what he's saying. He's saying you have no claim. You don't even have the ability to claim any of this. Look what he goes on to say. It gets, what he says here is like super harsh. And if I were to translate it, like truly translate it from Arabic to English, it would shock you.
أرض إسرائيل والقضية قضية إسرائيل معكم. كان إسحاق شامير ورابين وشارون وجولدا
I
مائير.
kind of like how he says it's whoa,
Whoa means
Shamir,
and,
Rabin, Sharon, Golda Meir. I just love it. And look, he's about to beat up Bibi.
Yep.
But he's going to beat up Bibi for a completely different reason than
the
everybody
wrong
else is beating him up. Look at what he says. It's very interesting.
والثاني والله ما ادري شو اسمه. هذول كانوا ابطال تدري ولا لا؟ لكن نتنياهو جبان. لان نتنياهو ما حرككم، ما ادري وش يبي بهالاسلحه مكدسها عنده. يا ادمي يا نتنياهو احرق هالعصابات هذه وهالشتات وهالملفقين وريح نفسك وريح العالم منهم وريحنا.
What he's saying Netanyahu is a coward because he did not burn these people. He did not destroy them. And then he says, Ra'ihne, meaning relieve us of these people by destroying their lives. That's what he's saying.
So, do we want to talk about what's happening now or what's going to happen now?
Sure. You want to finish the rest of this, or do you want to? It's because the way he ends it is even more harsh. Listen.
احنا منهم. ليش مخليهم؟ ليش فتح لهم الحدود يهاجرون؟ نراحوا للأردن سووا ويلون الأسود، ونراحوا للكويت انهبوه يوم صدام احتله، انهبوا يلبسون لبس الجيش العراقي وينهبوه. الخسة والنذالة والحقارة ما يتركونها، هذه تربيتهم وهذا دمهم وهذا عرقهم. ليش ما تريح العالم منهم يا نتنياهو إذا أنت رجال وبطل؟ ها؟ الله يلعنكم ويلعن حتى نتنياهو اللي ما خلصنا منكم. لأن نتنياهو تارك لكم الحبل على الغارب. والمفروض نتنياهو هو اللي يأدبكم وهو اللي يخلص العالم من شروركم. أنتم شر في أي دولة تحطون فيها يا الفلسطينيين. شر منزل ولا بكم رجل. أنا مستعد أنام عند يهودي ولا أنام عند فلسطيني. أنا مستعد أقلط يهودي في بيتي وأغديه وأوكله وأشربه وأرقده ولا أدخل فلسطيني في بيتي. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. I mean, even his old school traditional, like I'm sorry, that was kind of entertaining.
So, can I just share something that came across my feed just now? Is basically the Hamas is back in Cairo right now. Israel is in Cairo, and they're talking again. And
what's the point?
Here's what came across. This is what the Israeli news is reporting right now: is that the talks are not going to be about a ceasefire and some of the hostages. They're back to talking about a total agreement, and there's serious talk with Southern Sudan to move the Palestinians to Southern Sudan.
That's very interesting.
Now, that means Egypt is going to be a part of this, basically. And
Egypt's going to be very happy about that, because if they go to Southern Sudan, then that means they're no longer on their border.
Exactly. So,
because Northern Sudan, of course, is the southern border of Egypt, but that would be great news. But then that has a lot to play with Ethiopia then.
So yeah,
or Somalia, really.
But there's Somalia. Also a reason for that. But again, so here's what's happening right now. Where they're reached an agreement. They've understood that they're not going to reach an agreement, and what the offer is right now, that a large portion of the Palestinians move to Southern Sudan. The United States of America and everybody else spends major amounts of money in Gaza right now. Some kind of interim, and they're talking about bringing back the Palestinian Authority into Gaza.
That would be a huge mistake. Well,
I
maybe,
think,
you know what? I'll tell you how that wouldn't be a huge mistake. That could end up being something that could be widely beneficial so long as Judea Samaria is annexed by Israel. Then you have the Palestinians that are in that area in Gaza. You dramatically beefen the security. And you see what happens. Wouldn't that be a better scenario than letting them live in Judea Samaria?
Do you understand what it would mean, though, if the Palestinians, if the Hamas agreed to move Palestinians out of Gaza? And it would be an agreement, meaning they wouldn't be ethnically cleansed. It would be something that they sign on and agree to. Would the world accept that, do you think? Or would it still be held against us?
No, because it's a reason to still hold it against Jews.
Yeah.
But that might be enough for Israel. I mean, that might be enough for Egypt and a few other big Arab countries to fight back.
But everybody is saying that the only reason that they're even willing to have this discussion is because Israel is on its way into Gaza City.
Well, I mean, Bibi, look, this goes back to what I call the Ben Gurion doctrine. And it should have been followed a long time ago.
The terms I like to use is this. We've realized that peace for peace and land for peace doesn't work. The only thing that works is peace for power.
You have to fall into the Ben Gurion doctrine. Mm-hmm. That's what the Ben Gurion doctrine is: make the wars short, fight on their land, and whatever you do, be quick and swift and complete.
Yep.
It's the whole remember Amalek thing. Get in there and finish it.
When you don't do what God tells you to do, you pay for it.
It's the truth.
Once.
And I think
again and again.
And I think the Ben Gurion doctrine is a smart one. Which, by the way, I mean, I got to tell you, it kind of surprised me when Sharon did what he did with Gaza. Yeah. Because this is not the same tank commander that I remember reading about in 1973.
We've made so many mistakes. Come on, and there's so many things, including this new chief of staff that I'm getting more and more angry at.
I can't stand him. I think he's proven himself to just be nothing but a complete deep stater. He might be sleeping with Ronan Bar. I'm sorry.
Come on. I mean, the guy.
The best thing.
My men know him. I mean, a lot of the guys.
They might know him, but you know what? Him with the attorney general are getting people killed.
Again, I got to be careful because, I mean, literally my WhatsApp channel is following closely because all the guys from my unit are following closely. So
I think all the guys in your unit would get it. When the security cabinet, backing, in essence, the commander-in-chief, tells the IDF, who's tired and weary already, move the Palestinians in a place where they can be neutral and out of the way, further north, so that you can do what you're supposed to do with the least amount of casualties, and the attorney general goes to the IDF chief of staff and basically says, no, stand down, and the IDF chief of staff listens to that crazy broad? Are you kidding me? He's the one that's directly responsible for creating the perception of people starving.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. They're going to move them to southern Sudan, it says.
Yeah, well, like I said, southern Sudan makes sense because of the interests of little Somalia. If you remember, because wasn't there first an offer from like Somalia, that area that's referred to as little Somalia, that's real close to the Sudanese border? Mm-hmm. They were talking about that. That's probably what that is.
So this is coming out of AP and the Israeli. Very interesting. So, what's next, James?
I don't know if this Sudan thing works out.
Well, theoretically, okay, let's say yes, 500,000. That's all you need. 500,000 Gazans move to southern Sudan. The fact that they agreed to, and Hamas will have no say in this. I mean, I don't know who's going to agree. Let's say Hamas agrees to it. They're talking about disarming Hamas, though the Egyptians came up with an idea to put all of their weapons in warehouses and put a lock on them. That was kind of wacko. But yes, everybody's kind of trying to dance this. But if you move 500,000 Gazans out, The whole situation is completely different, and the hostage is back. Now, I want to do. Can we take 5 minutes and do a little? How do you say? Thought game. Let's say yes, it happens. 500,000 Gazans move out. A combination of the Palestinian authorities and others kind of move in. Okay. Huge amounts of money gets poured into the Gaza Strip to rebuild it. Then what do you think is going to happen? What does Trump have up his sleeve with this mega deal that everybody's talking about? By the way, they've got Turkey mixed into this now. They've got Egypt mixed in. They got the Palestinian Authority, and we know that the Gulf states are mixed into this. What would happen the day after, in your mind?
This is going to sound kind of wild, but the day after, especially if Mahmoud Abbas isn't dealt with, the PA activates. The PA gets aggressive with Israel.
Phew. But why would they? I mean, what interest is in the PA?
Because the PA immediately recognizes publicly that it loses its opportunity to yield to the two-state delusion.
No, they've given up if they do this, they give up the two-state delusion.
But that's my point.
The
They
thing is
activate.
this, but they've beat Hamas down, and the thing that the PA wants more than a Palestinian Authority PA, Mahmoud Abbas is the how do you say, the other Palestinian version. The thing that they look out for more than anything else is to have Hamas stepped on.
Yep.
I mean, they're dying for Hamas to be. I mean, they're going to see this as a great. I mean, again, I can't help but repeat Golda Meir. Okay, the famous Golda Meir is okay when the Arabs are going to have peace, when they love their children more than they hate us, or they love each other more than they hate us. And here's the thing: they hate each other more than they hate us right now. That I mean, you should see everything that's going on, everything that's happened. By the way, look at all the years of ISIS and Al Qaeda in parts and Arab lands. Do you know how many people were killed in the Iraq-Iran war? I mean,
we're well over 1 million.
Well over 1 million. Okay, so the Arabs hate each other with a vengeance. So the PA would love for Hamas to be pushed underground or completely disposed, or to lose this war. It'll make them stronger.
That's my point. I think they activate. I think they have a newfound sense of enablement, and it gets really ugly. And I think to me, David, you tell me what you think. I think the bigger issue is not dealing with Hamas. I think the bigger issue is ending Hamas while at the same time weakening the position of the PA.
Okay.
That's where the real trick is.
Well, President Trump and somebody said, I think it was on what's his name, Patrick Ben David, on his show. One of the guys on his show said something very interesting. He said, "In the past, I didn't believe this, but I trust Trump's instincts more today than ever before, because he's proven again and again that even if we don't understand what he's talking about, his instincts are correct."
Yep.
And I see this. And what Trump has been pushing since he came into power is, let us take over the Gaza Strip. In any way, shape, or form. We can do it economically. We can do it organizational-wise. I mean, I don't want to conquer it he doesn't want to say I want to conquer it for the United States, but, make the Gaza Strip into another Puerto Rico. Or something like that, something similar like that, and that'll bring great prosperity. But let's say, okay, some kind of internal government, kind of Israel together with something runs the Gaza Strip, Emirates, whatever you want to call it. Let's say the bottleneck, and I want a very interesting thought process, because I'm trying to figure out, it does happen. It'll feel like a bottleneck has been removed from the canal. The little dams have been broken, and there's going to be something that's going to flow through the whole Middle East. What is that something? What's going to happen?
Assuming that Gaza is now controlled by America?
Gaza is now solved in some way, shape, or form. Without going into what? What is the day after Gaza is solved. I mean, I'm seeing Syria and Lebanon on the verge of some kind of agreement.
I think if Gaza gets solved at that level, where the position of the United States is made permanent, there is an assumption of a very, very critical security role that brings.
Okay.
Without having to reposition your assets in Qatar or the Persian Gulf. Okay. It makes permanent what we've been doing in the Indian Ocean, the Persian Gulf, the Red Sea. It makes permanent what we've been doing.
Don't forget that Iran is on its back foot, whether you want to do whatever you want.
Yeah, we make permanent our position of dominance in the Middle East. The moment that happens, you will begin to see a very aggressive movement amongst Arab countries to find justification for normalization or peace in some contexts in order to make the trade route that Saudi Arabia has been selling from the very beginning happen. I think you instantly see Iran being bypassed. You see a trade route immediately being established, and you begin to see the Suez Canal now become a military operation instead of a commercial operation. It would have to be, because if the United States is going to plant itself in Gaza, then the Sinai becomes its primary concern. And it may mean Israeli expansion deeper into the Sinai at the willingness of Egypt to allow it because of the security ramifications.
So you think Egypt will allow Israel to move into the Sinai? I doubt it.
Take a more secure position. Look, everybody knows that when you talk about the north, what we want to call it, the north
corridor.
The northern quarter of the Sinai, where all of the fighting went in 73. Like, you start getting into that area, Israel's positions over there are very strong, but they're not Golan Heights strong, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I get it. So it's open. Been there, done that, exercised there.
So with normalization taking place, Egypt immediately recognizes the security benefit that comes from Israel strengthening its position in that corridor, in that area, because what it would almost immediately do is it would stop some of the terrorism that they've been seeing in areas like Sharm el-Sheikh. It's an immediate open door for Egypt. Egypt would welcome it because it would still be under the auspice of what's the boundaries that are created in the peace deal that the president of Egypt signed in 82.
I'm trying to spread out. By the way, did you hear that Egypt is negotiating to buy fighter jets from China?
Oh, yeah. I did a story on that. The J-29s, I think it was.
That's wacko. But let's say this, okay? Gaza is solved. Some kind of political entity that's stable. A large amount of the Gazans are moved out. Gaza is not the Hamas threat somehow that we think it will be. And what happens politically? You're talking about the corridor, Saudi Arabia and the corridor. Is that what would happen with Turkey?
So long as HTS slowly gets removed and some trilateral agreement is created, Turkey's happy. In other words, if Julani is gone and there's some type,
I don't think he can be gone.
Well, this is where Julani can be gone. Okay,
Julani is the president of Syria.
Yeah, he can be gone if the actions against Druze or operations like that continue. He can be gone because I can tell you this right now: as much as the leader of Turkey hates Israel, it's in his best interest to see the power of HTS be mitigated, because so long as HTS operates kind of as a rogue function, Turkey loses its ability to, in the name of maintaining security, stay in the region. So Turkey very much wants northern Syria.
The Israeli feed just now came up that Israel is talking with Syria about a humanitarian corridor
Bam.
between the Druze in Israel and the Druze in Syria.
And I guarantee you that's being done at the helm of Turkey.
Yeah, I mean,
I bet you're going to see
Right now.
Erdogan's name come up in this conversation.
oh yeah, totally. Right now they're talking about this.
That just proves my point, and I didn't even see that news story.
Okay, they're sitting in Paris right now. Dermer.
That's hilarious. I didn't even know that. That's wild.
Interesting.
So that goes to prove my point. And here's the reason why I'm so convinced about that fact. I'm convinced about that fact because based on what the Bible tells us in the writing of Ezekiel 38, Syria has to be a neutral staging area, especially after the destruction of Damascus.
The destruction in Damascus is
Isaiah
before
17.
before the peace or after the police.
I think it's all around the same time. Now, I could be wrong with that because my understanding of how that would fit in is still very limited because there's so many variables about what happens to that we just don't know yet. And we can't know.
Okay. So we're waiting to see what's going to happen in the next couple of days.
But this
It's gonna be
could change
fascinating.
the Middle East
It is going to be fascinating.
in a pretty remarkable way. And yeah, for the person that's asking, that is relatively good news, believe it or not. It might not seem like it, but it kind of is. Because what it's doing is it's taking Hayat al-Shem and it's putting them in a smaller box. Can I give you like the equivalent of this for the audience that's listening doesn't quite understand it? I've thought about this. Like if somebody were to break into my house and they were violent and they said that, they were coming to take our family's lives or whatever. There's one closet in the corner of the house. It's pretty well fortified that I would stick my family in and I give my wife a weapon that she's been trained on. And I would say, point this thing at the door. And anybody that opens that door, fire away. If this happens the way that I think it could end up happening, that's exactly what it does to everybody in Syria.
Oh, yeah.
It minimizes the gates of entry. It stabilizes any function of or any potential that there could be some skirmish or some rogue action by people like HTS. And it also opens the door to allow the bottleneck to be created that if something like that does happen, they can eliminate it pretty quickly.
Okay.
And it holds into account anybody that might want to violate some type of a regional or international agreement that could put Turkey in quite an advantaged position. And remember, when I always talk about this idea of Turkey wanting to resurrect the Ottoman Empire, that goes hand in hand with caliphate. So this would be the ideal position to do that from.
Which brings me to the last question I wanted to ask you today. Putin and Trump? Are they hugging and kissing?
They're going to meet in Russia.
Yeah? Are they hugging and kissing right now?
I think that Putin is scared of Trump. I think he respects Trump. I also think that Trump is scared of Putin. I think they both respect one another. So they're going to sit down and they're going to have a fruitful conversation. I heard Friday, I thought. I thought he was going to be in Russia on Friday.
Yeah. So you think he's going to pull it off?
Oh, yeah.
Now, think about what happens. If he does solve the problem in Ukraine.
He'll do it.
Okay. And he does solve the problem in the Middle East. That puts all of America's energy into China.
Yep.
And
China desperately does not want that to happen.
Yeah. Which is why they're going to try to stir the pot. Though I would say this, in all of this balagan in the Middle East, I haven't heard China enough. I haven't. I'm sometimes I'm kind of weirded out that you don't hear a lot of China messing or meddling.
I truly think they become inconsequential in Bible prophecy. How that happens, I still don't know. I don't understand. I'm beginning to think now it's going to be economic.
And Trump with his tariffs is going to put China under the boot?
Probably not. I think China with its implosion problem, China with its deflation problem is going to do that. But
Or is somebody going to spark off Taiwan and then China will be smashed?
I used to think that Taiwan was very vulnerable to China, but I don't think that China has the resources to make that happen, especially with the international pressure.
No, I see something happening with China, between China and the United States, that similar to what happened between us and Iran. Something's going to spark it off. They're not ready yet. Iran wasn't ready yet.
Yeah, maybe.
Something's going to spark it off that'll allow the United States to use all of its abilities against China, not in conquering China. We didn't conquer Iran.
Yeah.
But it seems like an air campaign of the time
substantially disabling them.
can substantially put them in a place where they're going to have to come to different kinds of terms. Look, Iran has been put underneath. I mean, and it was done without one pair of boots on the ground. And people always say boots on the ground, boots on the ground. If there is a parallel version of what we did to Iran with America doing it to China, and again,
But man,
the technology.
It's a lot harder to do that with China, Habibi, because of their technology.
Wait, but the thing is, but this is America with its size. I mean, and think about this: we cut through the Chinese manufactured air defense like butter.
Yeah, that's
And
true.
if we can do it, and we give that ability, or the Americans have that ability the way we had the ability, think about what we could do to China: take out all of their factories, and in the end, China comes and says, calls uncle. I think you say in Americanese. Okay, just like Iran came and called uncle.
Yeah. No, that's true.
And
I never
that
thought of it
could
that
be
way, but I think you're right.
be something like that. I mean, you won't have to conquer it. It'll be economic.
Yeah, I think
There's
you're
going to
right.
be economic. But if something does press a button, and everything that we're talking about, then a mega event similar to the minor event that happened with Iran. Listen, it was a 12-day war. Nobody would have believed that we could subdue Iran in 12 days.
Yeah, 100%.
Now, it probably won't happen in 12 days. Let's say 120 days. But if America could do to China what we did to Iran, the whole world would look like a different place.
Yeah.
And that's the backdrop.
Well, what fears me is that if Trump engaged China, he would engage China.
Yeah.
It would not be it would be the might and the power of the United States of America is about to blow you up.
Well, think about us doing, what America doing to China. Okay, what a bigger, higher, big boy version with how many carrier groups? I think we have 11 carrier groups today.
Yeah.
Okay, sitting on the shores of China.
Yeah, I'd probably say the first place that I would attack, being that you mentioned that, would be the South China Sea. That would in essence be where I would come from. I would aggressively do that. I would also take advantage of our Filipino partners, since there's already a massive conflict there between them and the Philippines, to put into play what needed to be put into play in order to put at edge the problem, and then it would function as kind of like a military siege, and then they could move in. But you would have to weaken their position, and specifically the one that becomes the most consequential for their security, which would be the South China Sea.
Yeah, and even more than that. I mean, India is on the verge of closing off the straits there.
Are they really?
And they're not going to do it. But there's a war between India and China going on. Right now.
And we know that.
So you close off those. If India and by the way, who's allied with India right now is Israel. And there's a lot of technology that's going over there. So it looks like a very interesting, and we'll have to wait and see what's going on.
It's really interesting.
So what are we praying for this week?
What are we not praying for, Habibi? I think the big thing right now is we just got to pray for wisdom for the leaders of Israel, for our leader, the President of the United States, our leader, the President of Israel, or the President of Israel too, Herzog. He needs prayer right now on a lot of levels. But I think that we really have to pray. Anybody here from California? I'm going to be speaking in Denver this weekend. So Sunday in Mile High Calvary Chapel. You mean Colorado? Colorado. Sorry, Colorado. So I'll be in Mile High Calvary Chapel, Mile High in Denver, Colorado. Who's the pastor? Fernando Ortiz. Oh. Well, that's going to be cool. Yeah. So if you're in the Denver area, come and say hi. I love it. Okay. Let's pray. David, you want to do the honors, brother?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Lord, if there's anything that we know about all of these things that we talked about not knowing, is that you're in control. And just thank you for giving us this feeling. We feel sometimes, or I feel sometimes, that we run around like ants in this anthill, and it's all playing out the way you want it to play out. Just pray that we will be instruments that advance your kingdom and your glory. And use us to do what needs to be done right now. Use our platforms to inform the people of what they need to be informed of. And more than anything, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for blessing us with this opportunity, with these abilities and capabilities, with this prosperity, and just thank you for blessing us with your son, Jesus,
Yes.
who has saved us from the terrible, terrible balagan that we make of a world. And just let's pray that your will be done in earth as it is in heaven. In the name of your son, Yeshua. Amen.
Amen. All right, guys. We love you. I do want to very quickly, I completely forgot to do this, but I'm just going to read the names of the super chats. I cannot believe it. We had another one come in, and so that just reminded me, because things have been so crazy. But because we're running out of time, I'll go back and read them next time. But let me just thank you guys. You guys are incredible. Let's see here. Brad, thank you. You're amazing. You gave us several of them. Go ahead and make our day. Thank you so much. And Brad, another one. You guys, man, you guys are awesome.
Oh, thank you.
There's a lot of, I like reading some of your, you guys are great. Thank you so much for this, guys. And we will acknowledge them next week. But we just ran out of time, and it hit us really quickly. So we love you guys. God bless you. Shalom. Thank you for all of you supporting us. We love you so much.